Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, November 2nd regular meeting of the Scarborough Town Council. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councillor Alquist.
Here.
Councillor Holbrook.
Here.
Councillor Sullivan.
Here.
Councillor DeAndrea.
Here.
Councillor Rancourt.
Here.
Councillor Wood.
Here.
Councillor Chair Roy.
Here. Item 4, general public comments. Anybody wishing to make comments on items not on the agenda or items on the agenda, please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. Open the public.
Martin Tripp again, 26 Oceanwood. I'm trying to get the perspective down right on several items. The school budget, the new school, I've just been assured that it'll come in under budget. I'm sure that's his point of view. I'm not going to dispute it. I'm worried about change orders. I worked construction for a long time, and I'm afraid of change orders. That's only my personal problem with it, that this could go over, not as a cost overrun, but as a change order overrun. Now, I don't know who this next council's going to be, because it hasn't been voted on, but you're asking me to vote on a school budget. At the same time, I vote on who's going to be running the town, and I don't know who the people are for input for my feared change orders. That bothers me. I came to this thing last Wednesday on Higgins Beach, and I talked to a realtor today. The best I could make out of it is there's $1 million worth of rent paid down to either houses, cottages, or the Higgins Beach and such like that. And that's a lot of money. I figure that's a dead minimum for rent and income for the beach. I'm just trying to urge you to be careful and use the best possible judgment when you're going about these issues down there, because there's an awful lot of people that depend on this income. So you're passing it off to the next board. I'm just hoping that the next board just uses their head. And you've heard me up here about cosmetics in this town. You know, you got pretty flowers and everything else, but in some places, the doors are coming off the hinges. Let's just get our perspective right and organize our thoughts about what we really should be doing. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. Any other general public comments? Seeing none, I will close the general public comment. Minutes of the October 19th regular meeting.
Move approval. Second.
Any errors, corrections, omissions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Item 6, adjustments to the agenda. Any adjustments to the agenda from the council? Yeah. I would like to make one, order number 1188, which involves the Dunstan roadway impact fee ordinance. When advertised in the newspaper, the only one that was advertised was the Haggis Parkway Route 1 impact fee ordinance. So this order number 1188 will be moved to the next council meeting. Items to be signed, treasurer's warrants will take place at some point during the meeting or shortly thereafter.
Order 11-80 is a 7 p.m. public hearing and second reading on the proposed amendment to Chapter 1202, the Town of Scarborough Ordinance establishing rules and regulations for Scarborough Memorial Cemetery and Dunstan Cemetery, Section 5, internments.
Just as an explanation from before, During the Finance Committee deliberations and the council's deliberation on the budget, I brought forward this item, having a personal experience where my mother passed away on I guess it was a Thursday, and we had the interment on a Saturday, and the fee was significantly more. And so what we did as a council, when we voted on the budget, we adjusted that fee, we increased it, but ran it across the board for 7 days. So with that, I will open the public hearing. Any members of the public who would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Pleasure of the council.
Move approval, Madam Chair, of order number 11-80.
Second.
Discussion. Council Alquist.
Just that the Finance Committee discussed this, and we unanimously approved of it.
I have one thing. As I read this, if you read the times for interment, it says the cemetery will be open for interments from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. Requests for openings prior to 10 a.m. on Mondays must reach the town office before noon on Friday. And as I read that, it did not incorporate Saturdays or Sundays when that was the initial problem. So I would like to make an amendment that the order read, the first sentence stay the same, and then read as follows. Any requests for a Saturday or Sunday interment must reach the town office before noon at least 2 days prior to the interment.
Second the amendment.
Discussion on the amendment. Councilor Rancourt.
Yes, there are, I understand the motivation behind this and certainly support it, but there are religions that require next day burial. And so I would like to not be as specific as 2 days prior, as soon as practicable, or that kind of thing.
I think, the purpose of it is so that the Public Works Department can prepare the site for the interment.
Yeah, I understand that, but
Originally, the rewrite was suggested by noon on Wednesday. But again, in my own experience, my mother passed away on a Thursday, and we had the interment on Saturday, so that wouldn't work. So how would you?
I think I would just leave it for all days, for the weekend through Monday, before noon on Friday. That way there could be a next day burial if necessary. But I don't know if we have to act on your amendment first, Judy.
I will withdraw my motion.
And then
Just a second, we'll
make
withdraw.
another one.
Draw my second.
Okay, you can go ahead and make your second one.
So that's the proposal that I would make, that it be your wording except where town office would be before noon on Friday.
Any other discussion on that? I think one of the things we're going to have to certainly check with Public Works.
And I mean,
Make
where
sure.
it doesn't need to be done, I think it would be those occasions where it's a requirement of the faith, not just for someone's convenience.
Yeah, or you could still, keep in at least 2 days prior to interment, but absolutely by noon on Friday in special circumstances.
Something like that. It might be that we don't need to wordsmith it, but I guess, sentiment, I think is probably understood by the manager.
Certainly.
Council Wood?
Well, I like a combination of both motions, actually, but I'm wondering if we could use Judy's suggestion and then have, except where requirements of an individual's faith requires, or might require later notice.
Yeah, I
where
think
exceptions
that
can
I
be
would be
made.
more than happy with that.
Okay, so that it would read before noon, at least 2 days prior to interment, except when individual's faith requires
Later notice.
shorter notice.
Yeah, okay.
Is that all right with your, as your motion?
I would
Was that
accept
motion
that,
seconded?
yes.
I did
Okay.
not get a second.
Can somebody second that
I'll
motion?
second that motion.
Okay. So is everybody comfortable with that? Any request for a Saturday or Sunday interment must reach the town office before noon, at least 2 days prior to interment, except when the individual's faith requires a shorter notice. All those in favor? Thank you. That was the amendment. And now back to the main motion as amended, so, sorry.
Move
Yeah.
approval of the main motion as amended,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you.
Order number 1181 is a public hearing and second reading on the proposed amendments to Chapter 601, the Town of Scarborough Traffic Ordinance, Section 29A, parking restrictions.
This item came before the ordinance committee. Are you going to open this for public hearing? No, it's just the approval.
No, it's a public hearing,
Okay,
but
you want to do that?
But just a
I'll
little
explain it
brief
first.
explanation
This
first.
came before the ordinance committee through a complaint to Council DeAndrea about safety of crossing Pine Point Road at the Audubon Society location when people are using the nature walk across the street, and to give safe side views from people crossing the road and cars entering and leaving the main driveway of the Audubon Society. And with a consultation of the chief, the police chief, I should say, we came up with this language that will allow parking. Parking will still be allowed, except within 20 feet on either side of the entrance of the Audubon Society on either side of Pine Point Road.
With
And
that,
then Counselor Holbrook came up with a number of minor housekeeping changes for more specific addresses as part of that same ordinance.
with that explanation, I'll open the public hearing on order number 1181. Is there any public who would like to make comment on this? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Pleasure of the council.
Move approval of order number 11-81.
Second.
Any further discussion or comments? All those in favor? Thank you.
Order number 1187 is the 7 p.m. public hearing and second reading on the proposed new ordinance entitled Chapter 415B, the Haggis Parkway Route 1 Impact Fee Ordinance.
Okay, I would ask Dan Bacon, a town planner, to give us a brief overview of it before the public hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dan Bacon, Town Planner. This is a new ordinance. It's proposing to establish an impact fee on new development to help the town pay for the portion of the Haggis Parkway Route 1 intersection improvements that really benefit new development. That intersection was improved in part to improve some existing problems and to accommodate some new traffic coming from the Dunstan intersections as part of a larger plan, but the intersection was also sized in terms of lanes and capacity to accommodate new growth on Route 1 in the Haggis Parkway. So this is an impact fee ordinance to help recover some of those costs, particularly the costs that benefit new development, as opposed to requiring new development to make improvements when they go before the planning board or go before the Maine Department of Transportation. So it's in an effort to spread those costs more evenly amongst new development and help the town fund this intersection.
With that, I will open the public hearing on order number 1187. Is there any public who would like to make comment on it? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Pleasure of the council.
Move approval of order number 11-87.
Second.
Discussion, questions, comments? Councilor Wood and then Councilor Rancourt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the chair, Dan, I understand that this is also reflecting a reduction in the cost per vehicle trip of an earlier ordinance?
The next item that's being tabled, the
Okay.
Dunstan Corner impact fee ordinance, which is already on the books, is going to be a reduction, about a $70 reduction over the current fee. But this particular impact fee is not a reduction. It's a new impact fee.
So without hijacking 2 weeks from now's discussion, what area, geographical area, just for the benefit of the public, does this new ordinance encompass?
This new ordinance applies to new development that, town-wide really, that generates traffic that may travel through the Higas Route 1 intersection. So if a project is proposed in town that's quite far from this intersection and doesn't generate a lot of traffic, then that development wouldn't have to pay towards this fee. But if there's conversely a large project that's right near this intersection, like, say, the Cabela's project of a few years ago or something of that magnitude, then they'd pay a rather large fee. So it's really based on where development is proposed and how much traffic that development likely will create.
In other words, that development's projected impact on this particular intersection.
Correct, yeah.
Thank you.
Counselor Rankler?
Yeah, I just wanted to state that I use the Higas Parkway to the Turnpike quite frequently, and I have noticed a definite increase in amenities that is much safer and easier to ingress and egress from Higas Parkway onto Route 1, and the same from Route 1 onto Higas Parkway. And actually, this morning, having to take that route, I actually noticed that actually more people are using it than ever before. It used to be that I'd quite often be alone on Higas Parkway. I do notice the traffic is slowly picking up, so I think our goal of directing traffic to Route 1 rather than using Payne Road may actually be beginning to come to fruition.
I think one of the other things, too, we'll see as we begin the project in Dunston, that may drive more traffic towards the Higas Parkway as that construction is going on, and then that may become a more permanent habit of some of those folks. And that's been experienced in a lot of other intersections where they find a different route and kind of like going that way, and their car does go that way. You know how when you're driving, all of a sudden you turn, and you're not really going that way today? I think it will get higher use as we move along with that Dunston project. Other council comments or questions?
I just wanted to offer a further comment to Councilor Wood's point. This intersection, we have collected some fees through, not fees, but some monies through the years. They've been kind of negotiated, but there's been no ordinance to support or back that up. I believe in the order of $120,000 have been collected to date. That money has gone toward the construction that was just occurred this summer. And I would just note, unlike many of the other impact fees where we're accumulating funds and then we'll do work in the future, we've done the work now and will, as a practical matter, as funds become available through this impact fee, we'll actually bring that in on an annual basis and pay down debt. And we can attribute a portion of our debt service going forward to that project. So that's how this one will work. Dunston Dunston may work much the same way. Many of the other ones that came before this, we accumulated money, and then once we had sufficient funds, we did work. So it'll work a bit in reverse.
And the impact fee is eliminated once that cost is paid back. So there's a district on the Payne Road area, an impact fee district that staff will bring to the council soon to actually eliminate it because the improvements have been made. So we no longer want to charge that fee given that the goal has been accomplished.
Councilor Sullivan?
Okay, this piggybacks on the question I asked at the last meeting on this, and I guess I figured a way to better put it. The landowners, for an example, on the Higas Parkway, they've already paid a fee towards the intersection, is that correct? Negotiated fee.
For those developments that have occurred, received planning board approval, so I guess to respond to your question, not many have paid fees toward this, no.
Okay, the raw landowners that own
Special
land
assessment.
have not, but the sewer fees they have.
Right.
Yeah, or
Okay.
they're paying them as we speak, yes.
Okay, correct, right.
Yes.
But there's been no road impact fees that have come from those
No.
problems? Okay, that's
No.
what I was getting at. I guess I didn't know quite the way to put it
Right.
at the previous meeting, but that's what I was getting at. Okay.
As Dan mentioned, this will be applicable town-wide to the extent that a project comes forward before the planning board, a traffic study is done, and if that study evidences some number of trips going through this intersection, then this fee applies to that number of trips. Closer to it, the greater the fee, of course.
And I guess just to piggyback on Council Wood's comment about the impact fee in Dunston and the decreased cost, I think the calculation and the formula used in the Haggis Parkway impact fee was not the impetus for adjusting the Dunston one?
Yes, as well as a new cost estimate for the Dunston project.
Sure.
The town was able, with DOT, to reduce the overall cost of Dunston and therefore lower the fee. So they coordinated in that way, and one influenced the other.
Council Wood?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Through the chair again, Dan, I was struck by your comment, and I think maybe the town manager also, about the fact that the idea here with the Haggis impact fee and the Dunston, when we hear that in 2 weeks, is that the improvements will be made. In the Haggis example, they've already been made, and then these impact fees will pay down that debt and then go away.
Yeah.
Is there, I think it would be beneficial, because I don't think I'm any different than most, that we see these fees and we don't have a sense as to when they go away or if they ever do, like a toll, if you will. So I'm wondering if the town can maybe work on some kind of visual for its citizens, maybe on its website, to show, how that debt's being paid through these impact fees, and we can get a sense of how fast it's being paid off and when in fact they do go away.
Yeah.
Normal citizens, if you will, won't typically have to pay this impact fee, but I still think it's in the interest of transparency. I think it might be a nice effort that way for developers that want to develop in that area.
Just
Manager Hall?
perhaps I can respond to that. I think it will be difficult to predict exactly when we'll be able to pay off debt. It's entirely determinant on the amount of development, the amount of fees paid in. What I would say, though, is that this ordinance and the one that follows it is far more precise than we've ever been. In the past, we've had a conceptual project with a very, very rough estimate. In this case, we have actual construction costs, and that's what this methodology is based on. And in Dunston, we have fairly exact cost estimates, again, far more precise and far more defensible in terms of supporting this to the developers. And I think Dan mentioned this last time, but it's worth repeating. No one likes to impose additional fees, particularly in this economy, but I think what this can do is have a developer able to assess for themselves what is the impact going to be. As it is now, they are at the whim, in some cases, of the planning board and DOT, and that's an uncertain cost that's not known until they're very deep in the development process. So at least they can understand these costs up front and make a business decision along with all the other construction costs associated.
Yeah, just a quick response is that I can imagine, the opportunity to be able to predict when it'll be paid off is difficult at best, but I'm suggesting that as monies roll into this, this fund, if you will, to pay down the debt, there might be some measure where a developer can see that information in an easy and transparent manner to see, how we're doing in paying off that debt.
Right. And we can certainly demonstrate with the current impact fees, sort of the percentage of improvement that's paid off. We have that data and can provide that to the council pretty easily. It's, as the manager mentioned, it's hard to predict when it's all going to be paid off, really based on the economy and based on volume of development. But we certainly can provide that share of where we stand today in terms of paying off those costs.
And like Tom said, my previous experience in these kinds of things, most often on the planning board, you're right. I mean, we collect impact fees for a concept.
Right.
And this is a unique opportunity in many ways, and I think in addition to an opportunity to advertise to our citizens and to folks who want to develop in town how we're doing in paying off that improvement.
Yep.
So,
Alquist?
We're notified as a council anyway when the impact fee is paid off. It's discussed here, isn't it?
This is passed by ordinance, so it must be
Right.
It must be sort of ended by ordinance.
by ordinance, right?
Right.
Staff administration can't do that. So as Dan mentioned, we have one that's from the Eight Corners area of town that has in fact paid off.
We'll be notified
So
of that.
they'll be coming to
There'll be
repeal.
action to be taken.
Right, you'll act to repeal that ordinance such that the fee does not exist anymore.
And again, the other question is, when the formula is developed, it's done in conjunction with DOT, and that's kind of how we figure that out, right?
DOT, in some cases, our own consulting engineers, but yes, there has to be some basis for the fee. And there's state law that provides some protections to developers such that we need some basis to support our collecting this fee. Beyond that, we need to demonstrate that we're using the fee for the intended purpose, that it's not going into the general fund or something like that. So stopping to, not collecting fees beyond the project cost is a real important feature to this.
Yep. And in the ordinance, there's a specific account that the fees go into, aimed right at this improvement and not other town expenses.
Other comments or questions from the council? Thank you, Mr. Bacon. Do we have a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
All those in favor? Thank you.
Order 1189 is a 7 p.m. public hearing and second reading on the proposed amendments to Chapter 1301, the General Assistance Ordinance pursuant to Title 22 of the Maine Revised Statutes as amended, subsection 43054.
Just as an explanation of this, the state makes the adjustments in the general assistance fees amounts each year, and this is just a housekeeping measure where each town council or city council needs to ratify that general assistance ordinance as it is presented to us from the state. So, with that, I will open the public hearing on the general assistance ordinance. Is there any public who would like to speak on that issue? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Pleasure of the council.
Move approval of order number 11-89.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Thank you.
Order number 1192 is a 7 p.m. public hearing and action on the request for an innkeeper's license from Pride LLC, doing business as Pride's Motel and Cottages located at 677 U.S. Route 1. This is a change in ownership.
Do you have anything on that? Okay. It's pretty self-explanatory.
No, I'm pleased.
Town manager can just give a little brief description.
With the change in ownership, obviously the new owners need to apply and receive the innkeeper's license. We've checked and everything is up to date from the code office, so we'd recommend approval.
With that, I will open the public hearing on the request for an innkeeper's license. Any public wishing to comment? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Pleasure of the council.
Move approval, Madam Chair, of order number 11-92.
Second. Questions, comments? Councilor Wood.
It's not mentioned here who the new owner is, but I welcome them to Scarborough and wish them best of luck.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Thank you. Non-action items, wanted to provide an update on the Wentworth Building Committee, and Paul Cosell, who's the chair of the Wentworth Building Committee, is going to give us that update.
Yeah. Well, good evening. Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Again, my name is Paul Cosell. I chair the Wentworth Intermunicipal Building Committee, and I'm happy to say we have been busy. 2 weeks ago, we held our public forum. We had 165 folks attend the public forum. It was well moderated by Councilor Wood, and we were there for 2 hours. We answered an awful lot of questions that night. I think we did a very good job at answering questions and getting information out and frankly refining our campaign and our position as far as this project is concerned. Since then, this past Saturday, we had 50 people present and we did a literature drop across the whole town. In total, we handed out about 3,000 to 4,000 flyers going door to door and have received a lot of compliments and comments back regarding that. This week, we also sent out 7,400 postcards to Scarborough households, encouraging them to vote and encouraging them to vote for this particular project. As far as signs, I think we pale in comparison to some of the other ballot questions out there, but I can say that we have spent our money wisely. We have 300 signs out there at this point in time at public locations as well as on a lot of different lawns. We've had a few thefts, but I think that's part of the learning process that a lot of you folks have probably dealt with in the past, and while it's been expensive, we've grinned and we've bared it, and we move on. Aside from that, this week, we're doing a fundraiser at the Portland Pie, which is tomorrow, where every pizza sold, $1 goes towards our campaign to help continue to fund what we've been doing as far as campaigning an election. We continue to have a strong continued presence throughout town at all sorts of public events, everything from the chamber to the middle school this week, so we're everywhere where we need to be. We continue to write letters to the editor. We continue to receive support from all the local papers, frankly, as far as giving us or letting us have our opinion pieces presented in their papers. I can say that we've responded to hundreds of emails. We've responded to thousands of questions through this whole campaign. And while the questions and emails have all been diverse and thoughtful, I can say that as a group, we've continued to maintain our theme of being open, of being honest, and of being transparent regarding our project. There is no hidden agenda here. There's no attempt to hide the football. There's none of that as far as this is concerned. We've just been out there. So as I was putting my notes together regarding tonight, I sat back and said, well, where have we been? Where are we going? It was 1 year ago that we started this process. I came before the council, I came before school board, and talked about what we as a group of 43 members of the building committee were going to do. I'm happy to say 1 year later, as you folks know, we have a safe, healthy, responsible project out there for the voters to take a very good look at through this selection process. It's a 163,000 square foot school building with an estimated budget or an estimated price tag of $39.1 million, which, when built, will be a school that will last in this community for over 50 years. So very, very proud of that. Having said that, and reading some of the criticisms out there, I could not resist the temptation that you see all the comments online. I can say, and you folks know that I've said this before, this is not a Cadillac school. This is not a school that has fallen prey to the, the Taj Mahal syndrome. This is a very capable project that is both responsible as far as price and as far as design is concerned. So, having said that, what is the next task at hand? We are less than 1 week away from the election being over. And I've talked to teachers about this. I've talked to other community members about this. Everyone says election day is next Tuesday. I say that next Tuesday, election is over. We need to be voting right now. Everyone needs to be voting. If you are one of the thousands of people in supporting this project, you need to get out and vote, and you need to vote in favor of this project. I am encouraging everyone on this council, everyone listening here tonight, and everybody at home, if you support this project, you need to get your neighbors out, you need to get your family out, you need to get your spouse out, you need to support this project. It would break my heart on November 9th to be sitting back looking at this and talking to a neighbor who I know supported this project and hear that, I just didn't make it down to vote that day. It would be absolutely devastating to me to hear that. Because we have done our job at this point in time. We have gotten the message out, we have put a good project together, and we need everyone's support at this point in time. So at this point, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the town manager, say thank you to the town planner, and say thank you to the council. You folks have been outstanding through this process. You've supported us at every step of the way, and my hope is that in a month I'm back in front of you talking about our construction schedule, our design schedule, as we move forward with a health, safety, and responsible school for the 21st century. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Any questions of Mr. Kosel?
I guess
Councilor Wood?
maybe half a question, mostly a comment. Paul, did you not also get the endorsement of a local newspaper recently?
We did. One of the other tasks we've been after is seeking endorsements. We have two endorsements, actually. We have an endorsement from the Current, and we also have an endorsement from the Forecaster as far as our project is concerned. We've also been endorsed by the Scarborough Chamber of Commerce as well as the Scarborough Energy Committee. So the endorsements are there.
Thank you. I just think it's important that folks realize that the endorsement, if you will, of a new Wentworth is not just coming from those folks that have been intimately familiar with the process for close to a year now. And I very much appreciated those endorsements and certainly agree with them. But I'll also take this minute to thank you, Paul, and thank the committee members that are here tonight and all the many that aren't here tonight for a very long and arduous process that I think in every step of the way was very honest, upfront, transparent, and I think it just spoke really well, not of all the individuals that were involved, but also about this project itself, and that I certainly have not been shy in stating my endorsement of the project early on, but it still took me a few months to gather all the information and all the numbers to truly believe that this is the best way forward for a new Wentworth, and I just want to thank you publicly for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Councilor Rancor?
I just wanted to say that I looking forward to this passing, this having good news next Tuesday night. But I wanted to sort of speak about a couple of stories that were on the news tonight. One is heating oil is up 80 cents from this time last year. And I think it just goes to speak for the responsible design of the Wentworth School that we are going into a really green and energy-saving model for heating and cooling that school. And that I know the committee gave very conservative numbers on what the heating system will actually reap once it's installed. But you can see that if you add another 80 cents a gallon onto that, those rewards will be much quicker and much more happily received by all of us. And not only that, but there's also on the news tonight a story about natural gas and that the delivery method, they are the delivery method, they're going in for a rate increase so that not only is oil more expensive, but natural gas is most likely going to be more expensive next year. So I think the way the school has been thoughtfully designed to minimize any kind of fossil fuels really adds to the reason why people should be supportive of this new building.
Thank you.
Councilor DeAndrea?
Through the chair, just a quick question for Paul. Paul, how many people have worked on this committee for the new school?
Well, we started off with 41 members on this committee, and I can say, as you can imagine with any large committee, we've lost a few in the process, but we've also picked up a few. So it's been a consistent 40 on this committee. What's been most impressive, I'd say, over the last few weeks is that the additional volunteers that have come out to help with the project. When you do a leaflet drop or a literature drop, 10 people don't get that accomplished in a town like Scarborough. You need a lot of folks, and we had 50 there. So that was remarkable. The 165 people that showed up at the public forum, again, a percentage of those folks were our building committee, but a lot of those folks were new faces to us. And hopefully, we'll see a whole lot more new faces tomorrow for pizza down at the Portland Pie. But in answer to your question, it has been a steady 40 people that have been on this consistently.
So one of the things that through this whole process, I've just been so impressed with the really thoughtful and deliberate actions of the entire committee and how that process has really worked for this town. This was something that was done over an extended period of time with lots of professional help, lots of volunteers. And I can't say enough about how important it is to this community that so many community members were really a part of this. And I really applaud the building committee for that. So thank everybody for a job very, very well done.
Well, thank you.
And I would concur with that. I think this is the most intense building committee I have ever seen in operation. It has been quite a project, and I certainly appreciate everybody's help. I would remind all of those people, however, that volunteered, that we have many committees on a town level that need volunteers. So don't feel that you have to stop once the election is ended. We have other jobs for you. So. Any other council members? Thank you very much, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
The town clerk wanted me to just make an announcement that absentee voting actually ends tomorrow. You still can vote Friday and Monday, but you must have a valid reason for that. So unless you have a very valid reason, you're going to have to go to the polls on Tuesday.
But we can receive requests until 4 o'clock tomorrow, so people call in and request an absentee ballot or upload the information from our website, fill out the form and fax it to us or email it. As long as we receive it before 4 o'clock or by 4 o'clock tomorrow, we can still process that request. Anything after that, like the next day, we won't be able to do it.
Madam Chair, can I make one comment on that? You can still, if you've taken one out, you can still turn it in on Election Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any that have already gone out will be received right up until before the close of the polls.
But you can't get a new one unless you have a valid reason. Thank you very much. Councilor Danver?
Yeah, just a quick question also about what are valid reasons for,
Actually, when you come in, say Friday, there is a form that all voter, and only the voter can request. There can't be a pickup for a spouse or a child. The voter has to fill out the form, and the valid reasons will be absent from the municipality of residence unexpectedly during the entire time the polls are open on Election Day, or have a physical disability or are unable to leave their home or treatment facility due to an incapacity or an illness. And then the third one is they're a resident of a coastal island ward or precinct and are unable to travel to the polls.
and would they have to prove that?
When they're
Reason?
certifying under penalty of law that the information provided on this application is true, they're signing their name
Okay.
stating that this information is true.
Thank you.
But only the voter, again, can fill this form out.
Thanks for clarifying those.
Okay. Under new business, order number 1193 is the first reading and schedule a public hearing on the proposed new ordinance entitled Chapter 608A, the Town of Scarborough Consumer Fireworks Ordinance.
Councilor Raincourt, would you like to give
Yes,
an
this-
overview first? And
This item and the next item came before the ordinance committee as a result of a new legislation that was passed by the state legislature allowing fireworks, consumer fireworks in Maine. This proposed ordinance in front of you is a proposal to ban the sale and use of fireworks in Scarborough. And I want to say that this was not a unanimous passage. It was passed by the committee 2-1. Our discussion was very interesting. We looked at initially our noise ordinance and other ordinances in town and how that would interconnect with this fireworks ordinance. And because we do have a fairly strict fire ordinance, I don't mean fireworks, I mean noise ordinance, it would take some considerable tweaking and management by our police department for monitoring the use of fireworks. So, and then, actually, many of our sister communities, or brother communities, whichever way you want to look at them, are also entertaining ordinances to ban the use of fireworks. And I think also in the news tonight, a number of those were listed. We know South Portland, for example, has already passed a ban. Portland has, I guess, yesterday or tonight, or within the past couple of days, Augusta and Lewiston have. Old Orchard is still working on theirs. And so that was another reason that we felt to be a good neighbor in the community of neighborhoods of towns that perhaps we should consider banning. I think personally for me, it is that, and I think the other ordinance committee members can speak to this themselves, it is that Scarborough really is a diverse community. We have neighborhoods that are very close together, and we have very rural neighborhoods. The state law allows fireworks to be set off 365 days a year. So there would be no respite in some of the more congested neighborhoods. Also, the fire safety noise ordinance complaints. If you were to talk, I think if you were to talk to Chief Moulton when odd things happen even today that aren't related to this ordinance in any way, shape, or manner, if people hear things, they call up with complaints. So it will just, our concern was that kind of thing. So our recommendation is to ban the use and sale of fireworks in the town of Scarborough.
With that explanation before, there's a motion by the council. Is there any public who would like to speak to the issue?
This is, by the way, the first reading.
Yeah, it
So
is the
we'll have
first
a
reading,
public
and it will
hearing
have a...
And a second
Yeah.
reading.
But we do, in our rules, allow some public comment.
All right, you will have plenty of chances.
All right, seeing none, can I have a motion from the council?
Madam Chair, I move approval of course, I don't have it written in front of me again.
1193.
Ordinance number 11-93.
Second.
Okay. Further discussion by the council? Councilor Holbrook.
I'll go first. Guns a-blazing. Yes, I think I've been pretty vocal about from the day one that I didn't support an outright ban. My interest lies within working within our noise ordinance. It also, if it is a concern for the neighborhoods and the neighborhoods wish to abolish it, again, I'm interested in working with that and working within the lines of setbacks and restrictions so that it stays out of those neighborhoods. But as far as an outright ban, although we appreciate South Portland and Portland and, Lewiston and these communities have done this, but these are certainly communities that are vastly different than Scarborough. And even in our most tight, close-knit neighborhoods, they're surely not as urban as some of these cities that are passing it, and I do understand that. That also creates some problems, because possession, no matter what we do in this town, possession of these things are allowed. And you walk upon a scene of 12 people and point a finger and figure out whose it is and who shot it off. That becomes a problem, and again, becomes an issue, because you can still have them. Again, I'm perfectly comfortable and willing to work on an ordinance and craft an ordinance, but I do not support a ban.
Councilor Wood?
Thank you. Although I'm a little bit sensitive about passing a ban, I'm a little bit more concerned about the prospect of Scarborough being surrounded by towns that have passed bans. Of course, if I really felt that this was not the right way to go, then I'd move that direction. But I'm afraid that if Scarborough does allow the use of fireworks and its surrounding communities do not, then Scarborough will end up being the place people will go to sell and extinguish, if you will, or light off their fireworks. And I don't think anybody, my guess is nobody here wants that either. So I'm going to support this ordinance, and I appreciate the hard work that went into it, and I'm sure the robust discussions. And to the point that Councilor Holbrook made about maybe fine tuning it, I think that maybe in the future, a possible amendment to this ordinance might be in order after further discussion. I don't think that's out of order right now, but I think at this point in time, I think we're best off moving forward with a ban in town and maybe continuing the discussion on another level. But I do
Councilor
support it.
Sullivan and then Councilor Rancourt.
Thank you.
We had this was a discussion before. We kind of took a straw poll with the council, and I thought we were all, well, not all of us, but the majority of us were in agreement that let's give it a year, let's see what happens, how things go, and then that would go with what Councilor Wood said. Then we can shape this ordinance if needed. But to jump on the bandwagon right now at this point, I don't think is necessary until we give it a year and see what happens. If we have problems, then we'll have to look at those problems. But I just don't see us jumping on the bandwagon. I won't support this.
Councilor Rancourt?
I just wanted to say that with regard to what Council Holbrook said, on Section 4, sales of consumer fireworks prohibited, it does say that no person may sell, possess with the intent to sell, or offer for sale community consumer fireworks. So you can possess them, you just can't possess them to sell. So if you have them in your car, you're passing through to go to your camp or what have you to set them off in a community that allows it, you will not be arrested and carted off to jail.
It's encouraging.
Councilor Sullivan?
However, I forgot to mention that if you do want, a permit will be required. I can see it, that being pretty easy to go through the Scarborough Fire Department, but now, also with that permit, you want a permit from the State of Maine Fire Marshal's Office, which I don't think will be too willing, since they've come out against this. Also, there is a stiff penalty for, I believe it would be a second offense of $10,000. I'm not, am I not? I'm not on the right one?
Yeah, that's for a willful violation.
That's
For the
Yeah,
next
I am.
ordinance.
for
Right.
the next...
Yeah, I get
one.
them. I'm sorry.
You're not a willful person.
Yeah. I'm
I
sorry.
can speak to that too, but I wasn't getting onto that one yet.
Well, the two of them I got mixed up.
That's okay.
Councilor
Okay.
DeAndrea?
Thank you. I am supporting this ban, and for a bunch of reasons. One is, I think we already know, I think it's pretty common to know that, well, fireworks are dangerous. Of all the fireworks accidents and injuries, 40% are kids who lose a hand, a finger, an eye shot out. Certainly, we don't want to, I think, add to those statistics in Scarborough. Both the U.S. Fire Administration, first of all, the U.S. Fire Administration says the safest way to enjoy fireworks is let the professionals do it. And then the National Fire Protection Association actually is strongly opposed to consumer fireworks. Because we also know that there's property damage that can result from fireworks. We do have a fairly urban population in Scarborough, especially this side of the turnpike. I've walked enough neighborhoods here and knocked on doors to know how close houses are. They're pretty close on this side of the pike. They're a little less close on the other side of the pike. But on the other side of the pike, we got, well, dry conditions sometimes, and property damage can still happen from grass fires and woods catching on fire by accident. So I think, the two dangers there certainly make me pause to think that we don't need those extra dangers in Scarborough. The other part of this is we do need to be good neighbors, and I agree with Councilor Rancourt and Councilor Wood that we already know, again, Portland has banned, South Portland has banned. Old Orchard has a ban in front of them, and it looks like that is the way that they will go. Gorham is looking at restrictions. Westbrook is looking at restrictions. And frankly, I think for us to not ban would make us poor neighbors in many ways. And also, I agree, I think people would come here to buy fireworks and then go back to their towns. So Scarborough could essentially be perceived as a real problem in all of this. So, I mean, I really think that there are many reasons. I don't see, I really looked at this, but I do not see any benefit to Scarborough. I don't see the benefit. There's no benefit to families, to children. The noise pollution is, again, something that I looked at. I live off Route 1. I get a lot of noise. I hear the races over at Scarborough Downs. I get the fireworks down at Old Orchard Beach. I hear the races up at Beach Ridge. You know what? Frankly, I don't want any more noise in my neighborhood. And I think most people don't want that additional noise where they live. They go home for peace and quiet. We got enough lawnmowers and stuff going on. So I think for that and all the other reasons, I'm just not going to support this. It doesn't make sense for Scarborough, and there are no benefits for it here.
Council Holbert.
I
and
just
Council Elkins.
had one question that I'm hoping perhaps I throw one of you under the bus for a minute. I had somebody ask me earlier in the week, and I didn't have an answer to this. Sparklers, regular, typical 4th of July, every gas station, every grocery store has sparklers. Will that now fall under this consumer fireworks?
Thump, thump. To the best of my knowledge, that is still a little bit of a conflict. State law, the way I understand it, the way the new state law is, it inadvertently took the fireworks sales that used to occur at Walmart and some of these other places off the books. They would not be allowed to do that because all consumer fireworks would have to be sold in these new stores. I don't think that was an intentional thing. I think it was one of those that fell through the crack from my understanding, and I haven't heard whether that's been resolved or is in a process of being resolved. That was my understanding, and this was quite a few weeks ago. Best I can tell you.
Thank you, Chief
Thank you.
Farrell. Councilor Alquist.
This is the first reading, right?
Right.
So we got a lot more discussion to go on it. I grew up in a world where we had fireworks. We set them off, and I don't ever remember anybody getting hurt. I don't remember anybody burning anybody's house down. I just don't remember that. It was a good time. We all celebrated. 4th of July, you knew it was going to be loud. It was supposed to be. It was a celebration. That was good. But I haven't made my mind up on this. I didn't see any problems with it. I mean, you can possess them by state law. You can have them. So you're going to tell people they can have them but don't use them? I mean, that kind of don't make sense to me. You know, it's like if you're going to have them, you're going to use them. That's what happens. So I don't know. We might be overreacting, and as far as what the other towns around is dictating what we're going to do, I get a little offensive about that kind of thing, you know. I don't think people will be mobbing into Scarborough to use them. I think, you know, up where on my end of town, I have 3 acres. Most people have 2 acres. I think you have to have that. I certainly think that that's plenty of room to do that safely. And again, I've never heard of any problems. I'm sure we'll dig them up now, but I haven't heard it. So it's first reading, and I'd like to hear what the public's going to have to say and before we get to the final vote.
Council Rankin.
Yeah, I just had a couple of comments that triggered something for me, Ronnie. I think you hit the nail on the head. If it's 4th of July or New Year's, that's one thing. This law allows it to be year-round. People can do it any time. That's, I think, my biggest beef, so to speak, with this, is that people can do it anytime without any notice to any neighbors. And Chief Moulton came before our committee and talked about how when people have gone, and it's really on the next item, when people go for a permit to maybe do them for their wedding or various events, and they don't tell people, the phones ring. People don't like that kind of noise interruption, and they get upset by it. And I think also you hit on another thing. Scarborough is kind of a split personality, you're right. If this were to property size, the state law, that you had to have so much room, I might feel totally different about it. But it isn't. It allows anyone, no matter how close they live to one another, to possess and set off fireworks. So there's no safety requirements in the state law for that. So those are some of my reservations. But I agree with you. This is just the first reading. I would certainly expect us to hear from people. I've gotten a number of emails. I've heard no one supporting having fireworks in Scarborough. Everyone who's emailed me as the chair of the ordinance committee has asked me not to allow this to happen. So if those people really mean it, hopefully they'll come forward at the public hearing and contact all of us about that.
I guess I'll weigh in then at this point.
Okay.
I'm not convinced one way or the other. I hear Councilor Alquist's statement, but it was quite a while ago when you were a kid, you know. You have to think about that. There were a lot less people in the town, and there were a lot less development, so I guess that, that would be a concern. I'm really not going to say pro or con at this point in time. I really want to hear from John Q. Public out there. I want to know what the citizens have to say about fireworks, and whether they want them in their communities. I have them in my neighborhood year-round. Somebody around the corner shoots them off all year. And it's a little disturbing. And if there were 10 more like him, I guess it might bother me a little bit. So I'm anxious to hear input from the public, because I can see both arguments at this point in time, so.
Madam Chair, just one
Councilor
quick
Wood?
thought. As this discussion matures also, this council might want to consider, with the help of Chief Thurlow and Chief Moulton, maybe some definition that might provide for those kinds of fireworks that we're, I think, more typically comfortable with, like sparklers, et cetera. But I think that would be a worthwhile endeavor.
Other comments? And just for the public's benefit, this is the first reading, and we will schedule a public hearing for the November 16th meeting. All those in favor? Opposed?
Order number 1194 is the first reading and schedule a public hearing on the proposed amendments to Chapter 608, the Town of Scarborough Fireworks Ordinance.
Any
And
further?
This ordinance basically finishes up the work of the ordinance committee on the fireworks issue. And it's basically what's in place now with a couple of additions. We already require permitting for displays of fireworks by, for example, if you were having them for your wedding or whatever, you can apply for a permit to allow you to have them. This would just add these consumer fireworks to that already existing ordinance. So it doesn't mean that those fireworks would not be allowed. It would mean they would be allowed on a permitted, endorsed basis by the fire department.
Any general public comment on this before we make a motion? Mr. Tripp?
No, I've got it. Marty Tripp, 26 Oceanwood. You figure how much fireworks is going to go off at Higgins Beach. And these people are under a little bit of a stress right now just from the noise and the confusion. I'd like to have you take that into consideration. And my second point, which my wife will appreciate, was her family was burned out in the 47 fire. Now, granted, that's a long time ago, but Higgins Beach is a very flammable place. And if anything starts down there, it's a real concern to me. It's a very dangerous situation. It's all wood frame houses, narrow streets. If you had a bad summer and one house go up, you can have a half a dozen go up. I just want you to take that into consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. Motion, council?
Move approval of order number 11-94 as the first reading,
Second.
and schedule the public hearing, by the way.
Other comments at this point? This one here is just really clarifying the title of the ordinance, Chapter 608, which puts the word display in there, plus adds the word consumer. So, Councilor Sullivan?
If 1193 doesn't pass, there'll have to be changes made to this one, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other comments? This is the first reading. The public hearing will be scheduled at the November 16th meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Order 11-95 is act to approve the resolve to accept donations for the fuel assistance program.
Second.
Motion?
Motion. Move approval, Madam Chair, of order number 11-905.
Second.
You might want to mention the folks, Mike,
Yeah,
that...
I can read that. You want me to read the resolution?
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
please, have Council Sullivan do that.
Be it hereby resolved by the Town Council as follows, that the Town of Scarborough greatly accepts the pledges and donations from the following businesses and/or persons that have been collected to date to be used for the fuel assistance program. Judy Roy and Scarborough Community Chamber. And be it further resolved that each business, organization, and person that and/or that recognizes for their generous donations as a token of the town's appreciation.
I just note that it's not our practice or my preference to include monetary amounts, but I thought the one from the chamber was sizable and certainly worth noting. So I'm not sure if Councilor Sullivan read it.
I didn't know that we were going to, but it was in the amount of $2,500, which is very, very appreciated.
Thank you.
Councilor Alquist?
Yeah, I just want to thank those folks for those donations, and I think what Councilor Rancourt said earlier with the news today, that, gas is, heating oil is up, pretty dramatically from last year, and it's going to stay there. I think it's important as a community that we all come together and promote and push this program. So, again, thanks for everybody who has participated in this program.
I just wanted to add one more thing. Again, as anybody that watched the news tonight saw, that heating assistance from the federal government and the state government have dwindled more than 60%. So it's going to become a bigger task than any other year of helping people in need. And I don't want to say beg, but I encourage any business or person out there that can spare the anything will be greatly appreciated by the people in the community that need the oil assistance.
I think on the news tonight, what they said was the LIHEAP program usually is able to provide $804 per consumer, and that number is down to $383.
We all know how little that fills an oil tank.
Right.
All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you very much to everybody who's donated.
Order 11-96 is act to authorize the town manager to sign a transportation enhancement project agreement between the Maine Department of Transportation and the town of Scarborough for a grant for the Eastern Trail Engineering.
Manager Hall?
Certainly. Through our involvement and affiliation with PACS, it's the Portland Area Comprehensive Transportation, I don't know what the acronym stands for, but through PACS, the town, we were encouraged, and the town did apply for federal funding that's funneled through MDOT, and this is to assist in the design, well, I should say before that, even the finalization of the trail alignment involving, next step would be design and cost estimates as well. This does not require any local match, so there's no local money involved whatsoever. And at the end of this should put us in a very good position to apply for construction funding in the future. This Eastern Trail has become really one of the number one regional priorities. We keep hearing about it at PACs. Many of you might have noticed that in the city of Saco, they're completing, I believe, 5 miles this year, including crossing Route 1 and further down across the Turnpike. I think Mr. Cazel's firm was involved with building one or more of those bridges. The existing gap with this connection now occurring in Saco is the area in Scarborough, though we've done and have been a leader with the Eastern Trail Management District. We do have a gap, and that's over the Nonsuch River and to connect into South Portland at their Wainwright Field Complex. And so this, again, this effort is all about understanding the best way to close that gap, and it does not require any local funds.
Pleasure of the council.
Move approval of order number 11-96.
Second.
Any other discussion or questions? Council Holbrook?
I just had a question. I had remember this ringing a bell as far as department goals, and I remember reading, I went back and looked, the largest hurdle for this project was going to be securing easements and permission from property owners for this segment. Do you have a sense, or do you know for certain where we're at with those permissions and easements? And
As I mentioned, trail alignment is the first order of business. We have secured easement rights through a CMP utility corridor that exists. That's one of the options. The other one is to move along a property line, a private property line, and have had multiple discussions with those folks. So that would be the first order of business, is deciding on the final alignment. What's likely to be the biggest challenge, there's a number of them, but we have to get over the Nonsuch. That is likely to be the easiest because we have to get over the Amtrak, the active rail line that exists in the Downeaster, runs up and down that several times a day. So whether it's at-grade crossing, which will need to be protected, or some sort of structure over or under, any of those options are complicated and costly.
Other comments or questions? Council Wood?
Yeah, through the chair. Tom, this is the area behind the DeFossis property, right?
The improvements on DeFossis property terminate,
At the
yes, at the
buttress.
Nonsuch River.
Okay. So what we're talking about tonight is accepting grant monies for the study of engineering a crossing over the Nonsuch where this terminates today behind the DeFossis property.
It would be from the red dot on the
Yeah,
lower left-hand
I see
corner all the way over to the green square, if you
Okay.
will. So it's that entire area that
But
we're studying.
I guess I got confused when you just mentioned in answering Councilor Holbrook about about securing easements. I mean, we already have the right, doesn't the Eastern Trail already, isn't it already
It does.
secured up to that point?
The map that's along with your materials, the trail shown in green is existing trail.
Okay.
It's built, that's on either town property or within easements. The dash lines depict a number, at least 2 options, once we cross the river to get our way ultimately over to the Wainwright
Oh,
Field
okay.
Complex. And to Councilor Holbrook's point, there are 2 options worth exploring. Each has its challenges and costs associated, not the least of which getting private property owner cooperation.
Well, I know that I've been very supportive of everything that we can do to continue to connect this trail. I know many years on the planning board, we've done our best to try to ask applicants, and many have just volunteered to do what they can to make this a contiguous and continuous trail. I certainly don't think this town, and I know that's not what we're being asked tonight, but the cost of building a bridge over there, I don't think should ever be burdened by the citizens of Scarborough alone, certainly. I mean, I'd rather just see a rope swing put up before we spend it seriously. But But the cost of certainly finding out what that is all about, and it's a grant I'm hearing, certainly can't, I'd be curious as to see how that study ends up and what it would cost, because it seems pretty formidable from what I recall.
Again, I believe the biggest challenge will be getting over, under, around the railroad tracks. And one option is to work our way directly up to Pleasant Hill Road. There is obviously an overpass over the railroad tracks in that area, though the road section is not wide enough to support any kind of pedestrian or bike trail. So you're looking at some sort of addition to that bridge structure that exists. In the other event, you're looking at an at-grade crossing, which would need to be fully protected, again, at some great expense, I suspect.
Councilor Alquist?
So again, Tom, this is truly just the basic, let's get going kind of a thing. There's many big hurdles in front of us, but we got to start someplace, and this is certainly kind of like the seed money to get that thing started, right? And there is no cost to the citizens of Scarborough.
No local cost.
No local cost.
It is to finalize the alignment and better understand the costs associated with that preferred alignment.
Yep.
Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor? Thank you. Standing committees and special committee reports and liaison reports. Councilor DeAndrea?
Nothing.
Councilor Rankle?
The ordinance committee has, we think, finished our work for this year's committee. Depending on whether there's a need for something, we have tentatively planned a meeting for the month of November, but there may be a new committee being developed, and we may not have that meeting. As far as the ELSA work, I just want to invite people to stop by a table on Election Day. We're going to give you a chance to guess ELSA's age for $1 a guest to go into our tree fund, our dedicated tree fund for tree planting. So there'll be a table there, and you can guess how old she is. And our town manager is the repository of that most secret of information, so no bribes on the side.
Councilor Wood?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Councilor Sullivan?
Nothing.
Councilor Holbrook?
Just that Housing Alliance did meet last week, and they're still trudging away at the Habitat project.
Councilor Alquist?
I went to the Eco-Maine Board of Directors meeting last week, and again this year, they're putting together the Eco-Maine Excellence Awards for any group, individual, or citizen, organization, or business to be honored for eco-excellence. The nomination papers are here, and it describes them, and needs to be in by the end of the year, but it's a pretty good way to recognize the green activities of the community and people that we should certainly recognize. So I'll leave these with Tom, and there's enough for everybody, and a few extras, and if you think of anybody, then let's get Scarborough a part of that.
Thank you. I have a SEDCO meeting, I'm the liaison to SEDCO tomorrow morning at 7:30, and the Senior WOW Advisory Board meets again on November 15th. Town Manager's report.
I really have nothing worth reporting tonight.
Before we begin the council member comments, I would like to take a few moments to thank Councilor Wood for his service to community on the town council. He will be sorely missed by us all. His expertise, particularly being helpful with things that involve planning, that insight has been a valuable asset to this council. You certainly will be missed, and with that, I will give you a plaque.
Oh, thank you.
For your service from
Very nice.
2007 to 2011, and hope that you'll be back on the council sometime soon.
Thank you very much.
Council comments. Councilor Alquist.
Council Wood, thank you.
It was a pleasure serving with you on the Finance Committee. We had some pretty healthy discussions, and it was hard for you to realize that you were wrong a lot of the time, and I was right, but I understood that. But we always had healthy discussions, and we could agree and disagree, and I always valued your experience, that you, the time you spent on the planning board and what you brought to the council made it a little easier, for me anyway, to understand that whole planning process. So I certainly want to wish you luck and thank you again, and you will be missed. I just want to remind everybody that Veterans Day is coming up, the 11th of this month, and that's kind of a big deal for me and everybody involved, I think, in this room, and we should certainly honor our veterans and say thank you to them and make it a really special day, not just a day off that we could go someplace, but certainly spend a few minutes with our veterans, I think, would be really helpful. The last thing about the vote next week, I think it was said earlier that the most important thing going to happen is that we get the numbers out there, that people come out to vote. It's a very important right and privilege that we have. People have fought long and hard for us to have that. And for me, personally, it's always good to see how many people. The first thing I look at, the next day is how many people voted. It's a big deal if we get a big turnout, no matter how it turns out, it's the numbers. And I would appreciate if everybody would make an extra effort just to get out there and do your job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Holbrook?
I think at the first meeting next month, Mike's going to be screaming at the TV. I have no comments. Thank you. Have a good night.
Councilor Sullivan?
I'd like to thank Councilor Woods for his service. It was a pleasure serving with him, and it made this year's Finance Committee very interesting, and he brought some real good discussion to the Finance Committee. And I'd like to just echo on Councilor Alquist's comments as far as Veterans Day and getting out to vote. It's very important for everybody to get out and vote, no matter which way you vote.
Councilor DeAndrew?
Well, I want to thank Councilor Elquist and Councilor Sullivan for recognizing Veterans Day. As a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, I appreciate knowing that people appreciate our service. And I want to continue to remind people that there are trigger locks available at the Public Safety Office, which is open 24 hours a day, and those trigger locks for guns are free.
Councilor Rancourt?
I have a couple of things. One is I just want to remind the seniors in our community that it is Medicare open enrollment time. If you have a Medicare D prescription drug plan or a Medicare Advantage plan, open enrollment began early this year, and it's also going to close early. So in relation to veterans, Medicare open enrollment will end December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. So it's 3 weeks early this year. So you really, if you haven't taken a look at your drug plans or your insurance coverage, this is the open season, and you really need to do that. Southern Maine Agency on Aging very nicely is located here in Scarborough. If you need some help reviewing your options, please give us a call. We have over 2,000 opportunities available for people to make appointments to come in and get the help that they need. And I did just want to speak about, maybe a bit selfishly, but in my neighborhood of the Black Point Road, Oak Hill neighborhood, I have noticed lately quite an increase in traffic. And I actually have been marking on my calendar to notice the backup on Black Point Road all the way down below the hill, morning and evenings, coming up from the hill to Route 1. I'm not sure whether it's a function of the lights, how they're timed now, or that I'm not sure people are 100% sure about the right turn on red and whether they can turn because we now have a green light there, or something's changed, there's no doubt about it. And so I just was wondering, I know that this is going to be just an increasing problem anyway, just the number of cars, but I didn't know if perhaps something was out of sync, or, it just seems like a lot of backups in the past couple of weeks. Tremendous amount. And actually, in my thought process, Tom, and I haven't broached this to you, but maybe we need a traffic impact to get some of those sidewalks and, traffic impact fee, to get some of those sidewalks and bike paths in on some of our streets in Scarborough, too. It might not be the world's worst idea, although I'm sure nobody would, wants to pay an extra impact fee. I think for the safety of the public, we need to get some more infrastructure down on some of these streets. And that's my comments for tonight.
Councilor Wood.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I don't have anything prepared, but I do appreciate the well wishes and want everyone to know in this council whether I agree with you or not on the issues. I hope that never took precedence to the respect and admiration I have for each and every one of you for volunteering your time and working as hard as you do for what we all do, and that is to make our community a better place to live. And we all work for the same goal. So for that, I thank you. And I thank Tom and all the many other folks that I've met through the process. I certainly not moving away. I'll certainly, as Council Holbrook said, be watching TV and yeah, probably throwing a few things there, but I know that we're in good hands. We have a great management team. We have a great administration. We have folks, great employees, and an outstanding council, not only tonight, but I'm convinced that the citizens will choose another outstanding council next week. So I think we're in great shape, and you won't miss me too long, I'm sure of it. But I thank you.
Thank you.
Mike?
And, I guess just to reiterate what already has been said again, thank you to Mike. In his emails, he has a quote at the end, and I think I have it right. It says, "Knowledge listens and wisdom speaks." And that speaks for Mike and where he's coming from. And I always see that every time I get an email from him. He will continue on CPIC, I believe, committee, and we'll keep him busy as a volunteer. So with that, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you.